all my life. Been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice. That's why all my life I've been grinding all my life.
Welcome to Darren and Sterling here on ESPN Kansas City, 94.5 FM, 1510 AM. Mr. Steve Walls in once again, sitting in place of Mr. Sterling Holmes, who's out on the golf course living his best 0.1% life. Steve, how you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing great, man. Sun's shining, so that's all I'm looking for.
Sunshine and 77-degree weather today here in Kansas City. Look, if the people in Nevada and Atlanta, Georgia, Pennsylvania, they can't figure this out, I say you and we throw our hat in the ring and just lead this country.
I'm with you, man. I'm always ready for a good vote.
You know what? Coming up on today's show, Steve, very excited to have as a guest on today, former NBA world champion head coach Paul Westhead. Now, to some of you older listeners, of course, you know him as the former head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, who coached Magic Johnson his rookie season, as well as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to a world title. Who was later fired, I believe, a year and a half later. And so we'll talk to him. He has a new book out, and that book is entitled The Speed Game, My Fast Times in Basketball. So we'll get a chance to talk to him about his coaching career, why he actually went into coaching. And then, of course, with Steve and I, we like to get his thoughts on today's game, see whether or not these players who are playing today could play back in the 80s and 90s when he coached. And, of course, he also won a world championship with the WNBA Phoenix Mercury. So I want to make sure that I stress that as well. Steve, look, we'll talk a little bit more about Thursday night's football game. We'll preview that game a little bit later on. But, we've been talking about it every day, but it seems as though COVID continues to rear its ugly head in the NFL. Struck the Kansas City Chiefs today, and the team actually put out a statement this morning saying that the club was notified this morning that a staff member had tested positive for COVID-19, that the individual self-quarantining under the team's medical care and contract tracing is taking place. The team is now in the NFL's intensive protocol and working closely with the league and medical experts. Of course, the health and safety of their players, coaches, and staff members remains the number one priority. The Chiefs did hold a practice this morning and then out of virtually. They continue to monitor the situation and take any appropriate. The team will continue its preparation to host the Carolina Panthers on this Sunday. I read all that to say that, of course, Steve and I, we were not able to get on the Chiefs Zoom call today because they pushed that, they rescheduled that for tomorrow. And at that time, we'll speak with Andy Reid, the coordinators, as well as Anthony Hitchens. Steve, your thoughts on what the Chiefs statement putting out today?
Man, it's like we've been saying, man. It's inevitable that teams will have whether it's staff members and or players that contract the virus. And the thing about it is, these guys all go home. Like you still have family members, you have kids in school, they have kids. And whether you're out there or they're out there pumping gas or have to go to the grocery store or what have you, it's always possible for them to catch COVID. I mean, it just is. And there's no way around it unless, the NFL had done something like put these guys in the bubble, which we all assumed that they would do at the beginning of the season. But it just didn't work out that way. But the thing about it, too, is that it seems like it's more and more teams that are this same story is coming out each and every day. And my thing is this: winter's coming. The numbers, I think the COVID numbers are still going up. So I just hope that they're able to finish out this season and also have Super Bowl.
Well, I do believe that they are going to finish out the season. I think too much money's on the line for them not to. But, look, you brought up a good point about it continuing to wreak havoc across the league. The Houston Texans, they closed their facility down today after one of their players tested positive. It looks as though the linebacker, Jacob Martin, was placed on the reserve COVID-19 list, and as well as Whitney Marcellus and Dylan Cole who have been identified as close contacts and are considered high risk, which means that all 3 of those players will not be able to play in Sunday's game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, I wish I'd have known that before I played some bets last night. But that being the case, the 49ers, they had to put 4 players on the COVID-19 list ahead of tonight's game against the Green Bay Packers. And so it is Kendrick Bourne, and the league is actually going to be investigating him, Steve, because because they said that his positive was not a false positive. So they're very interested to see how he came about getting it. And there's reports, of course, he may not have been wearing his mask or may have been wearing his mask improperly. But they're also going to be without left tackle Trent Williams, wideouts Brandon Ayuk, and Deebo Samuel all in tonight's game because they're all going on the reserve COVID-19 list. And then, you look at the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears closed the facility after one of their players tested positive this morning. I believe it was Jason Spriggs, a right tackle, as well as I'll take it back. They placed him on the reserve COVID-19 list, which was Jason Spriggs and right guard Jermaine Ifedi. And so I'm not sure which player actually tested positive because it hasn't been announced yet. But they that's going on. And then of course, Eagles safety Marcus Epps has also tested positive for the virus as well. So, I mean, this is I'm not sure what the players or what the organizations are doing. For all this to be taking place, for all these players to have it been caught. And of course, I'm pretty sure that the league as well as the Players Association are going to, are going to obviously investigate to see what's going on and how it's coming about. Team, Steve.
Yeah, and the thing about it too is that if I want to see how this Thursday night football game goes. I mean, you don't have Jimmy G, due to injury, and you have all these other guys, and I think on both teams that have somewhat tested positive for the virus, or been placed on COVID-19 list. I just want to see if they're able to have a quality football game, because if the NFL is not putting a quality product on the field, what good is it to even have the game? That's just and I hope fans. It seems to me that fans would need to say something. I mean, whether you're social media platform or something, just say, hey, this isn't quality football, so why are we even watching this? And of course, that's how TV ratings are affected. Is if people are watching it or not.
And it's interesting. I kind of want to wait, but I guess we're talking about it now. This is a rematch of the NFC Championship game between the 49ers and the Packers. And as you mentioned before, the Packers, they've elevated safety Henry Black, cornerback Stanford Samuels, and running back Dexter Williams from the practice squad to the active roster for tonight's game as a game day COVID-19 replacement. So that's they also elevated guard Ben Braden as well. So, obviously the main attraction is Aaron Rodgers, and so he's still playing. I know you mentioned Jimmy Garoppolo being out, but also George Kittle, I believe, is going to be out in tonight's game as well. So the 49ers, they are going to be affected tremendously on both the offense and defensive side of the ball. And so I'm not sure, at the end of the day, I'm just not sure what's going to happen or how tonight's game is going to look. I mean, obviously I do have the Packers winning tonight, but in what manner or what style, there's going to be all Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, or, I'm not quite sure how it's going to unfold. And if I remember correctly, Steve, I think the Green Bay Packers are going to be without their top 2 running backs as well in tonight's game. So, no, I mean, you bring up a very valid point on, on the team and the quality of play in tonight's action and even this weekend's action.
The thing about it too is that I saw a notification that came across that Cal and Washington opener had been canceled. College football, and it will be declared no contest with Cal to field competitive team after positive COVID-19 test. Now I feel like the NFL should possibly do some of the same things, with these games, and had they built in some cushion question of okay, well, if there's some games that need to be rescheduled, some things that need to be changed and games pushed back, then they should have been able to do that at the beginning of the season and build that cushion a couple weeks added on to the end of the season. That way, in case you're not able to have that quality game like we're going to see tonight, they're able to move this game over to the last week of the season.
Yeah, one of the things that I wish that the NFL would have done, Steve, is when they put out the schedule, built in 2 bye weeks for teams, and why they didn't do that, I'm not sure. I guess when they put it out there, they didn't want to have, I would imagine, the championship games, not having a 2-week span. Now with it being the case, I'm not sure whether or not the NFL regrets not doing that. Giving the teams 2 bye weeks, so in case you have to make up games, then you have an opportunity to slide a game through the second bye week that the teams would have had. But right now, as more teams continue to have their bye weeks, if it comes a point where you can't play a game, then you're going to be caught in a situation where maybe you're looking like Buffalo, where you're playing on a Tuesday, turn around and turning back around to play on a Sunday because you can't really afford to take any more games or weeks off, or giving a team a bye week off again.
Yeah. I mean, that's something that at the beginning of the season they should have gotten and said, hey, we're going to get with the NFLPA, get with owners and fix the schedule in a way where you have a couple weeks that are built in on the back end of the seasons. Like if we need to make these games Monday through Friday, that's what we're going to do. And have a team Chiefs Chargers on a Wednesday, and some other games built around that. And so I just think that that's what they should have done at the beginning of the season. But look, hindsight's 2020. And I guess they have to go forth and conquer now and just see how it goes.
Yeah, it's interesting. And like you said, on the college side, obviously, you talking about Washington and Cal being canceled because of the game. I mean, obviously, there's going to be more games that's going to be taking place like that's going to get canceled. Not just I'm not exactly sure how they will go about it. Obviously, the Pac-12 they were just coming back to start their season up. Obviously you had the SEC that's been going on since the beginning, and the Big 12 since the beginning of the college football season, where they've gotten 5, 6, 7 games in versus, the Pac-12, who will probably just be starting. I think them along with the Big 10, I think they've just started their season as well. So, I mean, COVID remains undefeated at the moment, and I'm not quite sure, how much, how much more effect is going to have on the sports world. Obviously, we've been able to finish the basketball season, even though 4 months later, finish the baseball season, even though it was abbreviated. We're getting through the NFL season thus far, obviously with a few hiccups along the way. College football, I'm not sure how you can really navigate that in the manner in which they're trying to right now.
Yeah, and we said it, at the beginning of the NFL season. You have these guys that are, you have
they're
young
getting paid too,
right? Yeah, you have young millionaires, right? These guys don't want to sit at home. I mean, it's kind of like we said at the beginning of the show. It's inevitable, man. You know that these guys, someone's going to be in contact with someone with the virus. Whether they're going to the grocery store, whether they have some family coming in from out of town to watch the game, or whatever. So I feel like it's possible that there have been some other cases and we may not even have heard about it, right? I mean, you just never know. I mean, some of this stuff has probably gotten swept under the rug, and I guess we maybe never know if it has or it hasn't.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit earlier about the 49ers in the game tonight. They are activated. They are planning to activate Jordan Reed tonight. I think he's going to start in place of George Kittle. We also see that Aaron Jones, the Packers are hopeful that he's going to be playing tonight, and they won't plan on activating Allen Lazard. So, like I said, I'm not sure. Right now the Packers are down to just 2 running backs, Steve, A.J. Dillon and Jamal Williams. And so, Obviously, if they can get Aaron Jones back, that is going to be important, obviously, for the Packers to try to win tonight against the 49ers.
Yeah, and remember we said this I think it was yesterday when we talked about the NBA and the fact that if players don't want it to happen, it won't happen. Right? I mean, you looked at some of the games that they set out during the NBA season inside of the bubble. They're like, "Hey, we're not playing. What you gonna do about it?" I understand it's 15 players compared to a full NFL roster. Yeah. So, but it just makes those stars like if Aaron Rodgers comes out and says, "Hey, man, this game isn't gonna be," and I know it's a macho sport.
He ain't gonna say that.
Yeah, I know. But if he came out and said, "Hey, this it's only so much you can push us to do, man," and I feel like we shouldn't be playing this game. We don't have everybody available. 49ers don't have everybody available. Why don't we just push this back a couple weeks and see how it goes? And I know he's not going to do that, and it doesn't make sense for him to do that. But my point being is like, if it's not going to be a quality game, why are you guys playing it?
Because they still want to get paid. That's why.
Oh, I get it. I get it. If I was in that same situation, I might cut my check too because I'm playing.
well, that too. But then also, look, when you're Aaron Rodgers, you got the national stage to yourself. You want, just like Brady, you want to put your name back into that MVP conversation. Now, granted, it's going to be kind of skewed because you're beating up on the team that don't have, that's going to have Nick Mullins as their starting quarterback tonight, and their running back Jerick McKinnon. So, I mean, when you look at the names that they're going to be putting out there on the other side of the field from you, I mean, you kind of got to play because, I mean, you want that shine, don't you? So
we call those asterisk wins. Those wins that you got to put an asterisk by in a win and loss column.
So is that what we're doing with LeBron and his championship this year?
You're dang right we are.
Oh, okay. Well, at least you're consistent. I'll give you that. I thought you was joking about that. Look, we're going to take a quick timeout. When we come back, we should be joined by former NBA World Champion head coach Paul Westhead on the show. Keep it locked in. This is Darren Sterling here on ESPN Kansas City, 94.5 FM, 1510 AM.
At Crown Volkswagen,
we really are. Hi there, Gary Giles with Giles & Jewelry. Everybody knows Giles & Jewelry is the place to buy an engagement ring. Thousands of diamond rings, quality second to nobody. Come on into Giles, 95th and Antioch, right in front of the big Hy-Vee. Giles & Jewelry, we're the jewelers you'll recommend to your friends and family.
Giles Jewelry for the best that's yet to come.
At Crown Volkswagen,
we really are doing something that we love, and that's making people happy.
Because that's how we've always done it. And that's how we'll continue driving forward.
2020 Atlas Cross Sport models, 0.9% APR for up to 72 months. Does not include $299 dealer fee on approved credit. See dealer for details. Offer ends 11/02/2020. The 2021 ID4 electric vehicle. Reserve yours today at Crown Volkswagen, 3400 South Iowa, Lawrence, Kansas. CrownMotorsVW.com.
Sports Radio 810 is a proud sponsor of the 31st Annual Thanksgiving Day 5K Run and Family Stroll presented by T-Mobile. Unfortunately, we won't be able to host the race in person this year due to COVID-19, but you can still participate in the race virtually and keep your family's Thanksgiving Day 5K tradition alive. You can run or walk the 5K at a time and place of your choice, and each participant will receive a comfortable Thanksgiving-themed long-sleeve t-shirt and a cell phone armband courtesy of T-Mobile. Learn more and register today at tdayrun.org. Is your car in need of dent repair fix-ups because of recent hailstorms or parking lot door dings? The place to call is Precision Dent Repair KC. Precision Dent Repair KC is mobile and will pick up and deliver your vehicle back to you. They will also coordinate all your insurance needs and provide free estimates at guaranteed prices. Call or text now 913-905-9932. That's 913-905-9932, or look them up at PrecisionDentRepairKC.com. Precision Dent Repair KC will get your car restored and looking like new.
Our standards are the highest I've ever seen in the business, and I've been in this industry my entire life.
That's jewelry veteran Robert Violante at Diamonds Direct, talking about how only the best of the best diamonds make it to the Diamonds Direct showcases.
We start by selecting the very best rough. We cut it, polish it, and then take the top 15 to 20% and offer that to our clients.
That mind-to-showroom concept allows Diamonds Direct to offer superior quality for less.
One thing that always surprises clients is how much further their budget will go with Diamonds Direct. They may have been looking at a 1 carat somewhere else for what they were hoping to spend. Well, at Diamonds Direct, you could get a 1 1/4, sometimes a 1 1/2, and it's really amazing.
And then there's the after-the-sale commitment from Diamonds Direct, a promise to stand by that jewelry for life for free.
Once you become a Diamonds Direct client, you're our customer in our family forever. We take care of your ring for life for free. You never pay for any service. Anything you ever need done, we take care of free for life.
Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion.
At 119th and Road.
All right, welcome back to Darren and Sterling here on ESPN Kansas City, 94.5 FM, 1510 AM. Steve Walls in for Sterling Holmes. Steve, we have on the phone line right now a former two-time world champion head coach, one for the Los Angeles Lakers, the other for the Phoenix Mercury. We are joined by Mr. Paul Westhead. Mr. Westhead, good afternoon. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing fine, Darren. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you so very much. Of course, for those who don't know, as I mentioned before the break, he is the author of The Speed Game, My Fast Times in Basketball. And Paul, I'd like to just ask you out the bat, what inspired you to write this book now?
Well, I just wanted to write about the journey that I took in coaching the fast break and how my running system had some success and it was exhilarating and had a lot of failures and I got fired and ran out of town. So I wanted to show both sides of it.
Now, when you started, obviously you started coaching in high school because, it's funny because not a lot of high school coaches go from high school to Division I basketball as a head coach. Tell me about that transition and how that came along.
Well, I was a high school coach outside of Philadelphia at Cheltenham High, and I was there 5 years. When I arrived, the record was like 2-18, and in my final year, with the benefit of some good junior high kids who came in, we were 26-0 going to the state finals and lost in overtime. So I had the good fortune of this run, and I loved the teaching. I loved the classroom. So that got me my start in college basketball.
So I'm curious, and I'll let Steve jump in after this. But what was it that in your life that guided you to become a basketball coach? Like, was it something as a youth or something that you knew that you always wanted to do? How did you end up in the field of coaching?
Well, I didn't start out coaching. I went to St. Joseph's University and played for Jack Ramsey.
Oh.
And when I was leaving and trying to get, some kind of teaching, coaching job, I asked him to help me. He said, "Sure, I'll help you. But I don't think you're going to be a coach. You're really a classroom teacher." So I focused on that, and then eventually he made a call and helped me get a coaching and teaching position. But he saw me, and I think I saw myself initially as a classroom teacher.
Steve?
Hey, Steve Walls here. Being a former Lakers coach, just how much do you dive into your time spent on the Lakers?
Yeah, I still watch them. I watch a lot of the games and most of the playoffs in the bubble. I was, impressed that with LeBron James having Antonio or Anthony Davis, they became unbeatable. I think Davis was really the X factor, and he'd have been a great fast break player because that young man gets out and runs.
Since you're watching, you've been around the game of basketball a long time, and seen plenty of different eras as far as going back, Magic Johnson, you coached him his rookie season, and even coach against Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and even seeing LeBron today. I got to ask you. There's been a long-standing debate. Who is the GOAT of greatest of all time in your eyes?
Well, it's a tough one. And, you can easily spread that out and give 4 or 5 names. But if there's only one name to be given, I would say Michael Jordan. He still is the benchmark of greatness in the NBA. LeBron still has some years left, so, stay tuned. But, in that expression, you cannot throw out the likes of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Magic Johnson. They certainly fit that qualification of being the game changers in basketball.
We're joined by Paul Westhead, former head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, coached them to a 1980 World Championship along with the Phoenix Mercury, coached them to a 2007 WNBA World Championship. Paul, my question for you is, back when you coached the Lakers, and obviously you came in, I believe, in 1979, and that was, I believe, the year that they traded for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and then, of course, drafted Magic Johnson as a rookie following his NCAA championship run. Did you know then at that time when you drafted him, and obviously as the season progressed, that not only was Magic Johnson a special talent, knowing from what you saw in college, but did you ever imagine that he would end up being, I guess, as you would say, one of the top 5 players, especially one of the top 1 or 2 point guards in the history of the NBA? Did you know that back then?
Yeah, well, no, not really. When I arrived, Kareem had already played for the Lakers. Magic was the new, kid on the block. He came in as a rookie from Michigan State, and Magic in his early couple of years with me, he wasn't as spectacular. That was to come. He was like a hard, grinding, tough rebounder. He did anything to help his team win. It was clear in the early 80s that it was Kareem's team. That he, however Kareem went, the team went. But later in the mid-'80s, Magic began to assert himself, and then he became the cornerstone of that team.
Now, of course, I know you probably get asked this question a lot, but you talked about your style of coaching that you brought into the NBA. Why was it such a controversial style of basketball?
Well, it's controversial for many reasons. One, the players. I've coached 20 teams, and it's only worked a handful of times because players say they want to run. It sounds good to them. But when you practice for a week to 10 days, they don't want to run anymore. So the very thing that seems exciting, now they're going to sabotage and try and, slow it down. So you just have to, if you're a fast break coach, you have to stick with it and find a group of young men or women. And, I found them in Phoenix with Darren and Taurasi. They love the fast break. And then you just explode on the scene. But it's not easy because players don't like it. The opposition doesn't like it. They think it's not standard basketball. Basketball, whether we like to say this or not, is a very traditional game. They like to be played at a very steady pace. And mine was at a frantic pace.
Steve?
Now, Paul, a question regarding Pat Riley. I know you brought Pat in as an assistant coach when you were with the Lakers. How much do you talk about that, bringing in Pat Riley and what he's gone on to do in your book?
Yeah, that's covered pretty well in the book because, when I took over, unlike NBA teams today, there was the head coach and the assistant coach. So when my good friend Jack McKinney was injured, I was the only one left. And for, 2 weeks, I coached the team by myself. And I went to Jerry Buss, the owner, and said, I'd like to bring in Pat Riley, who was the color man broadcaster for Chick Hearn at the time, because I had gotten to know Pat and I knew he knew the league. So Bust agreed, and Riley became my assistant for the remainder of the season, and it was a big help. He kind of helped me with NBA players.
Did you teach him? Did you teach him the game, or did he have any coaching experience? I know he played in the league, but did he have any coaching experience at that time when he was doing?
Yeah,
college?
I don't think Pat had any experience. But it's interesting, and maybe you folks can attest to this. When you have to tell about the game, if you're going to do radio or TV or some form of description, you are forced to learn about the game. So he knew more than just being a player. So he had some concepts and some insights, but it wasn't his coaching background that attracted me. It was his knowledge of the league.
Yeah. And I'm curious, I always generally ask this of coaches who spread around and who do different things. But of course, you've coached in high school, you've coached college women's basketball, you coach men's basketball, you coach in the NBA, and you coach in the WNBA. Where did you find your most, satisfaction or gratitude, and why?
Well, whenever you win a championship, that is satisfaction enough, even if you had a struggle to get there. So the Lakers in 1980 is one. Phoenix Mercury with Diana Taurasi and Cappy Pondexter and Penny Taylor. That was a very special time there. I enjoyed that immensely. But in addition to that, my coaching at Loyola Marymount was the epitome of my system, because that team, more than any team I ever coached, ran it to perfection. When I had Bo Kimball and Hank Gathers, Corey Deans, it was just a pleasure to coach them, because they did exactly what I asked them to do.
Man, it's funny you say that, because, I remember that I was about 10 years old, between 10 and 12 at the time, watching that team. Obviously, Hank Gathers, led the NCAA with a double, 32 and 13. Bo Kimball in 1990 with what I think was around 35 points a game. As you said, to me, when you talk about that and talk about that team, that is, like you said, the epitome. And not only that, but it shows that your style of coaching or your brand of coaching was appreciated, and people got a chance to see it into fruition at one of its highest stages. Obviously, when you're in the NBA, that's how you can go. But would you also say that your time during coaching during your college time was beneficial, because what you were able to do with your players, both men and women, off the court as well as on the court?
Yeah, I struggle with that a little bit, because I think a coach at any level has an effect on players. You would think more on the college level, because they're still developing concepts, and they're still trying to, as young adults, figure out what they're going to do with their life. So I'm sure you have an impact on that, versus a professional player who knows his career and is trying to improve and sustain that. But in showing impact on players, I probably have to go back to my high school days, where I coached at Cheltenham High, and I had young men who they're still calling me. I made note that about 10 years ago they had a reunion for me. They invited me back to Philadelphia. And it's the only team of the 20 that I coached that invited me back. So I think they appreciated me.
Now, Paul, you mentioned high school, and I'm sure we have a lot of listeners that have young kids, whether in grade school or in high school, and probably some in college as well. But I'm wanting to know, a lot of these parents now want their kids to specialize in just one sport. What are your thoughts on that? Because I know my thoughts are, I think you should play, and I tell my son this, you're going to play, however many sports possible that you can play, because specializing at such a young age is just, I think it doesn't, build on being an athlete, so to speak. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, that's a topic that's easy upon reflection to look back, and I have 11 grandkids, so I try to advise them this way. I specialize in basketball because that's all I could do. If I tried football, I would kind of get beat up and pushed aside. But I think young boys and girls should play multiple sports, and they shouldn't focus on one too soon in their career. And I would reverse and go on the coaching side too. I think it's crazy in elementary and junior high and high school that our coaching system puts so much pressure on winning that you could be a pretty good, volleyball player and you didn't make the starting team, so you sit and watch 90% of the games. There should be a way that young boys and girls are on teams, play not equal amount, but a good amount of a game. But that's the only way that you get experience. And so what? You don't win 20 in a row. That'll fade real fast, but the experience for a young boy or girl will last a lifetime.
Paul Westhead joined us on the show today. Paul, you mentioned earlier when we started off the show, about your time, I guess, with the Lakers for you, quote unquote, got ran off. Do you still, I know you're 81 and, you have the right to, do you still harbor any ill will towards the Lakers or Magic Johnson or, Buss and how you're ending left your time with the Lakers?
Yeah, no, I got over that. It was the first time I was ever fired, so you do take it personal. You go home and, my wife and my 4 kids looked at me like I had done something wrong, like I robbed a bank or something. But upon reflection and taking other positions, as I said, I had 20 jobs and I probably got fired in 14 of them. So you understand that getting fired isn't personal. It's the business, it's entertainment. And my reflection on the Lakers is now that I had a great owner in Jerry Buss. He got the best players that he could get. He never backed off because it was going to be expensive for him. So Jerry Buss is a great owner for a coach because you give you a chance to win it all.
So now I'm curious, what are your thoughts on today's players? Now, not anything about go talk, but obviously you got a chance to coach in the 80s and the 90s, and you know how physical the game was back then. Do you see a number of players who could play in that time period in today's game?
Yeah, the players are physically bigger and stronger, and they're very skilled. We keep talking about the players in the 70s and the 80s as being tough and hard-nosed, and they were. But these players are equally competitive, and they have more talent. Just pick a name, not the obvious, but like Jimmy Butler. I watched that Miami series, and I said, my gosh, this guy is spectacular, and he's not alone out there. So the level of the game has improved, but I keep hearing that players in the 70s and the 80s would say, "Hey, you bring your teams and we'll beat you up." So who knows?
Steve, you got another one for him?
Since we're talking about just the players from now and back then, there's been a few players that have joined and created these so-called super teams. Want to get your thoughts on that as a former coach. Do you see any of the players back then that would want to join another team just because they have they've won a championship?
Yeah, I'm not so sure how they would respond. I think the players in my era felt an association with a particular team. There are players on the Celtics that wouldn't leave that team and that franchise for double the money or a chance to win a championship. And they were like Celtics for a lifetime. And I think the Lakers were like that. I grew up in Philadelphia. I know that when they were the Philadelphia Warriors, they were hard, true warrior players. But I think now players would be more likely to move around and find a team that they could perhaps win a championship. Kevin Durant would be an example of that. He left the Thunder in Oklahoma to go to the Golden State to win a championship. Now he's off to Brooklyn to show that he can win a championship with them.
Paul, I'm curious because, again, you did get a chance to coach both Magic and Kareem, but I'm more interested in Kareem in this. Obviously, he got a bad rep, I guess, during his time in L.A., off the court type stuff, but can you describe what type of man he was? I know he was one that was socially active and socially involved in what was going on in the community, but can you talk about the man off the court versus what we saw on the court?
Yeah, the man off the court was really a very, his personality was very quiet and he basically did not want to be a public figure. He did not want to say, "Hey, I'm the leader of this team," and "Hey, everybody follow me." He wanted to kind of show by example, and then when he left, leave me alone and I'll be back and play my basketball for you. I always got along very well with Kareem. We didn't share poetry together, but we did share ideas and books and things like that. And I do remember, it always sticks out when something like this happens. I got fired. I went home. As I mentioned, I was with my family, and the phone rang, and there were no cell phones then. And it was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar saying, "Hi, Paul. I'm sorry this happened. I wasn't a part of this, and I just want to let you know I like my time with you." So that always sticks when you get fired. Who calls you?
Yeah, no, I agree. That's wow, that's interesting to say. What would you say? And of course, of the Los Angeles Lakers was, would you say, I guess, was your most challenging time as a head coach?
Yeah, well, you need more than a couple minutes for that answer because it's always challenging when you get hired to put in a fast break because you sold them that's what they were going to deliver. And you're with the team and you're 1/3 of the way through the season and they don't want to run anymore. And you don't know what you're doing. You're stuck. And you try and work through it. But that's the problem with being a fast break coach. The moment you start making adjustments to slow down, it gets worse. So the only way you get out of that problem is you go faster. And that's the last thing that are on the mind of the players. So that I had a lot of those situations, so I can't tell you one was worse than the other.
Is there a style or is there a coach now, like maybe a Mike D'Antoni that you see that may kind of copy your style and what you did when you were in the NBA?
Yeah, and Mike D'Antoni's close. I have to go back and say, ironically, when I was coaching the Phoenix Mercury, he was coaching the Phoenix Suns. So we shared the court, we shared practice times. He would watch my teams, I would watch his games. And he was a running fool at that time. I mean, he could have been me in disguise. He had Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire. But D'Antoni is a survivor, of which I wasn't. When he was like in Houston, they didn't run. I mean, they scored a lot of points. But I would think he'd be the first to say they weren't a running team. They were an under-control team. Give the ball to James Harden, and he'll figure it out. And it was smart of D'Antoni to do that.
Do you think, and this is just I'm just throwing this out there, but even as your time as a college head coach, were you able to, really go out there and recruit the type of players that you wanted to kind of run your system or to learn your system, or did you just really much go with what you had?
Yeah, if I had, and I had several flaws as a college coach, but one was I was never a great recruiter. I thought I was, and I was always good in the home, and moms and dads always liked me, but I never seemed to get the players. So, for like most college coaches, you coach who shows up, and it's not always, the 3 or 4 players that you really wanted. So, I had to coach what was there and try and blend them into my fast break system. And sometimes, like Loyola Marymount, it really worked. I couldn't have done better with Hank Gathers, Bo Kimball.
And that part is true on the college level. Paul Westhead, if you want, please let people know where they can find your book and they can order your book.
Yeah, it's the Speed Game, and it's available online right now on Amazon and Barnes and Noble, and so it's hopefully available in a lot of bookstores, but Amazon for sure, I know, because people have gotten it from them.
What are you doing with yourself now? Obviously, with COVID hitting, are you out much, or you just stay inside, or what do you do with your time now?
Yeah, well, I live in the LA area. The one good news is that we're not all shut in because of cold weather. It's like 85 degrees right now. So I go out, but I have 11 grandkids, and I used to see their games, which they don't play them anymore. But we do some drive-bys, and we kind of wave to each other. But I really miss the close contact with my kids and grandkids.
All right, well, Paul Westhead, a former world champion head coach of both the Los Angeles Lakers and the Phoenix Mercury, joined us on the show. Paul, really appreciate your time. It's an honor speaking with you, and I hope this won't be the last time we get a chance to have you on the show.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thank you.
All right, we'll take a quick time out. You're listening to Darren and Sterling here on ESPN Kansas City.
Buying or selling your home is the largest financial transaction of your life. So make sure you're represented by real estate experts, Shannon Brimacombe and Stacy Cohen with Reese Nichols. Brimacombe & Cohen rank among the top 1% of all real estate agents in the city. Brimacombe & Cohen have generated over $80 million in real estate transactions in the past 2 years. Contact Shannon Brimacombe at 913-269-1740 and find out why Brimacombe & Cohen are moving people and moving houses.
Another reading from the Golden Oak Lending Book of Mortgage Lingo. What is a cash out refinance? It's doing a cannonball from your porch.
Watch out!
That new car smell. A new college graduate in the family.
With a BA in business and a minor in medieval Renaissance poetry.
Reading the words, paid in full.
Woohoo! Did it!
At Golden Oak Lending, we speak mortgage and love translating it for our customers. Right now, rates are at a low 2.5%. Call 913-890-GOLD or visit us online at goldenoaklending.com and talk with an experienced local loan officer who will guide you every step of the way. NMLS 114937, 2.5% fixed, 2.655% APR on conventional 15-year mortgage with 30% equity and approved credit. JLB Corporation, 8595 College Boulevard, Overland Park, Kansas.
The American dream, home ownership. Now, is that true? Sometimes owning a house can be a problem, an ugly problem. Repairs, taxes, just mowing the yard. What we've learned is with every ugly problem, there's a beautiful solution. Let us be that solution. WeBuyUglyHouses.com. Call us today. We're the We Buy Ugly Houses people. 1-800-44-BUYER or WeBuyUglyHouses.com. Call us today. Get rid of that ugly problem. 1-800-44-BUYER. We're the real ugly house guys.
This is your last chance, Kansas City. Pick up your free copy of the Sports Radio 810 Championship magazine at any local CBD American Shaman location. The Collector's Edition magazine is filled with great articles, quotes, pictures, and stats from our championship season. While you're picking up your magazine, you can get 20% off your purchase at CBD American Shaman and sample some of their great products. Pick up your free copy of the Collector's Edition Sports Radio 810 Championship magazine at any local CBD American Shaman location today.
Hi, I'm Jordan, president of Digital Lagoon, a web and design agency. This year, I'm proud to be celebrating 25 years in business. Here at Digital Lagoon, we can provide you with a strategic digital marketing strategy. With the implementation of social media, SEO, and online advertising, these programs are proven to improve your website traffic. Let us collaborate with you to structure a plan and cut through the digital noise. Check us out at lagoon.com. That's lagoon.com.
Hey, Kansas City, there's a new whiskey in town, and it's a really big deal. The Holiday Distillery is excited to introduce Wicked Pickle, a spicy pickle-flavored whiskey that is equal parts spicy and sour. This one-of-a-kind whiskey is a take on the classic pickleback shot, mixed to perfection all in one bottle. Enjoy Wicked Pickle as a shot, straight or chilled, to experience the full spicy and sour effect. Available now at McCormick on Main in Weston and coming soon to a store near you. Be sure to enjoy Wicked Pickle responsibly.
We are back here on Darren and Sterling here on ESPN Kansas City. Steve, before we go with you with some breaking news, I do want to make sure that get an opportunity to send condolences out to our guy, Quentin Randall. Of course, he hosts he co-hosts the Red Hour with Steve, myself, and Sean Tyler. He lost his father earlier this week, so I do want to let you know that you are in our thoughts and prayers, big guy, and that we look forward to seeing you back on the show soon. Steve, of course, earlier today when the Chiefs practiced, Frank Mitchell Schwartz did not practice. Frank Clark, Chris Jones, and Sammy Watkins were limited. But there's some other news that was just announced within the last 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, and breaking news is that Chiefs defensive tackle Chris Jones has been placed on the reserve COVID-19 list.
Yeah.
So it's, we talked about it, but at the top of the show, man, it's kind of one of those things. It's like the next person, you don't know who has it. You could be going to the store, but the thing about it is that we don't know the staff member that had tested positive for it. So that's the thing about it.
Yeah, and so just a few things according to Harold Kuntz. Obviously, he did practice today, but he's on the list if he was either exposed or if he was, in close contact with. So it's not saying that he has it, but just he was he could have been in close contact with someone, which is obviously why they placed him on that COVID-19 reserve list. And so I believe he has to test positive 5 days in a row.
Negative.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Test negative. I'm sometimes thinking positive in a different manner, but but the fact that he has to test negative 5 days in a row, I'm not sure if that would equate for he wouldn't be able to play Sunday. I believe if that is the case now, this is
Thursday.
Yeah.
So
Thursday.
I think
he's not going to be able to play.
I don't think he's going to play Sunday.
Yeah, this is so he will miss the game against the Carolina Panthers. He's got obviously 4.5 sacks, 22 tackles on the season thus far. Big loss for Kansas City. I mean, obviously, anytime your player can't play, whether it's injury or now this, this is a situation that is obviously not good. If you're a fan of Chris Jones and the Kansas City Chiefs. However, the flip side is next man up. Someone else has an opportunity. As Eric Bieniemy has always said, they coach their backups to be starters. So obviously for me, no excuse come Sunday's game. Whoever's next man up for Chris Jones, they gotta ball out.
They do. And I hope this isn't like one of those domino effect type things. I mean, you see what happened with a lot of these other teams. It's, the twos and fews at first, and then bang, 3, 4, 5 people come out with positive results. So hopefully it doesn't affect any of the other defensive guys, because like you said, he did practice today, and that means he was in close contact with
right.
with other guys.
Yeah, which of course begs the question. I'm pretty sure he had to go to the contract tracing, but did they before or after practice, of his contact? Look, tonight on Sports Radio 810 WHB, we're again going to be airing the Green Bay Packers, San Francisco 49ers game. Again, Steve, who do you have in this game?
It's going to be like two toothless dogs gnawing at each other, man.
God,
but Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers, I think he'll be able to make some things happen. It's going to show, just how good Aaron Rodgers is. If you're able to make the guys around you better, I mean, that's what's always said about great players is the ability to be able to do that. So I think Green Bay is going to pull it out.
I got Green Bay winning as well. I need Aaron Rodgers to throw for 300 yards. Devontae Adams get nine or more. You don't think so against his defense? They're going to be decapitated, man. Come on now. 300 yards passing, basically 10 receptions from Devontae Adams and 95 yards receiving yards from Adams and Green Bay to win. I didn't put a whole lot on it, but, I get some of my money back. So we'll see what happens with that. Obviously, I need JaMychal Hasty of the 49ers have 85 rushing yards, which is going to be, look, he might be able to do that because you got to remember, you don't even know who the starting offense is for the 49ers. So perhaps they run the ball, try to keep Aaron Rodgers on the sidelines. I need Aaron Rodgers to rush for 15 yards, so or at least 10 yards. So all that being said, we will be back on tonight following the post-game show of with the ship with Darren Smith on Sports Radio 810 WHB, and we'll be joined by Sheena Marie. She is the beat writer. She's one of the beat writers for the Carolina Panthers. We'll talk with her tonight, and as we preview this Sunday's game between the Kansas City Chiefs as well as the Carolina Panthers. Steve, I guess now I'm trying to remember who you picked. Who you picked Monday night? I guess you got the Chiefs winning on Sunday. Am I correct in that?
Oh, you're correct. Very correct. I mean,
okay.
No Chris Jones. It doesn't stop the show, man.
All right. Well, look, first of all, you make sure that you have the rest of your picks. We'll be joined by Lorenzo Neal tomorrow, so he likes to get excited and he likes to bring it. So all that being said, Steve, I appreciate you again. We'll do this again tomorrow. I want to thank Rudy for keeping us on the air. And, of course, I want to thank Mr. Paul Westhead for spending time with us today. You've been tuned in to Darren and Sterling here on ESPN Kansas City, 94.5 FM, 1510 AM. Please social distance and wear your mask.